Hello and welcome back to the Space Station podcast. This is episode 5. I'm Kieran and I'm your host for this week. I am joined by,
Maisie.
Lucy.
and this week we thought we would talk about what is happening with the art industry and what a comment has come out from the UK Chancellor. So basically, I don't know if you have heard in the news this week or whatever. The Chancellor come out and said musicians and other people within the art industry should retrain and get new jobs.
Yeah, I heard that. Didn't he use the word proper jobs?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's it like? I don't, what's a proper job? Like
I'm not messing,
what
but
is it?
how much money is the Chancellor on compared to like Billie Eilish?
Well,
And
yeah, I
do you
mean,
know what really made me laugh so much? There's a picture of all the politicians and he's in the middle, and I didn't realise how small he was, and it kind of made me a little bit like it made me laugh because I was like, look at you.
I, yeah, but to be honest, like we said in college, like our theatre technician in college said, like, I'll retrain and become the chancellor just so I can say stupid stuff like that. It's a bit like,
It's
well,
ridiculous.
Like, just
and like,
he doesn't like it doesn't mean that like the rest of like the UK won't.
no, I know, yeah. I mean, I think it's been a bit like, well, you know, just because we haven't funded you or given you any money towards anything, it means that we want you sort of go and get new jobs. Essentially, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
I've googled it then, and they've stopped funding quite a few art venues, so they've had to close down.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's gonna get to a point where theatres and art venues are gonna turn around and go, no, we need to open, regardless whether it's social distanced or not.
Yeah,
We need, like, if we are to survive as an industry, then it needs to be a sustainable income for them,
It's
and not.
putting so many people out of jobs. Like, think of all them people. I think people forget about theatre and the arts. It's not just say you're in a show and you're watching a show. It's not just them people on the stage. The people backstage. It's the costume people. It's the tech people. It's the stage managers, the stage directors. There's so many people. Same in like art galleries and art and music. Everything. There isn't just like five people in that little bit. There's like 500 people. So I just
Yeah,
think,
I mean, like, if you think of the size of like a theatre company, it's not just like one person's or like a few people on the stage. People
no,
forget about like the other people, like backstage and things like that, costume department, light department, sound, all those types of people. They're forgotten about, like, essentially, because people go see what's like live on stage and then go, oh, that was good, that, but they're not thinking about how much work has actually gone
I
into it.
know,
but
I
not even
know.
just like the jobs. How many people go and do like performing arts like outside of school or outside of the job just to like get away and like do something that they enjoy? Like if all like the funding stops, no one's gonna have something to like go and clear their mind and do, or just like forget about everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it as well. Like, yeah, it's okay saying, oh, we're going to fund this, that, and the other from the government's perspective. But, like, they're leaving the likes of youth services and other things like that out and sort of saying, um, you know, it's, it's what it is.
We've kind of been pushed to the side, and like the arts are honestly one of the most important things because I don't know how many schools now have lost drama, music. They're slowly going to start losing art, and it is because the government can't be bothered to fund it or don't want to because they think it's a bit pointless when they are some of the best things.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
confidence and individuality and interests. Like you might be good at math, you might be good at English, or you might be good at singing, or you might be good at acting, or good at tech. Like that's taking a little bit of someone away from them in a sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like saying, let's say, for instance, oh, we're going to take, like, performing arts GCSE away from schools and stuff like that just because we can.
I
You
feel like
know,
that's the next thing.
Well, to be honest, it's gonna get to a point where eventually people are gonna start saying, "No, I am gonna have to go and get another job if we're not gonna come back anytime soon." And I feel like it's also a big thing for the likes of people who are in their third year degrees at uni or have just come out of their third year degrees at uni in the likes of drama, technical theatre, design, you name it. Like there's no jobs out there for them now.
I know. It's
There's
ridiculous.
it's like it it's like they're not, like there's no like pot of money anywhere for like people to apply for, or the government sort of said, oh, here's like 40 million pounds for the likes of cities and things like that to
Yeah.
support them. But what's that going to go on? Well, it's mainly probably going to go on the likes of getting PPE equipment. Yeah, that's everything that we need and stuff like that. But it's not, it's not a case of saying, "Oh yeah, here's 40 million pounds. Let's go and spend it on that." There's nothing towards like the directive youth services or the likes of drama groups or stuff like that.
Like that money should be gone, right? Here's 20 million, it says 20 grand, is 5 grand, is this for all these different things, instead of giving this amount of money to preferably not we're not running very smoothly lately with the government, nothing seems to be going right, to put towards things. Yeah, it's so important that people who are out of work are getting the money if they can't go back to work, and they're getting the PPA and they're getting all that, but somewhere there is money that they are keeping in a secret way that can help things like youth centres, drama theatres, and people in theatre industries. Like, when was the last time theatres were open, really, and shows can be seen? One of the biggest seasons coming up is going to be like the pantos of Christmas are all just going to end, which is going to make it even harder for the arts industries to start up again.
Well, the likes of the M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, like they've said, like, oh, we are going to open, we're going to do Jack and the Beanstalk or whatever, yeah, but we're going to do it socially distanced.
Yeah,
I think it's going to get to a point where they're going to have to turn around and go, no, we can't, because of the new guidelines that are always coming out from the government.
I know.
Nothing is clear. There's nothing like this rule of six now is just gone out the window. That doesn't exist anymore because you're not allowed to mix with anyone, supposedly.
It's so
But yeah,
well, like the
but
guy
yeah,
at the minute are just like, I think the weirdest thing is you keep saying that how much the numbers are going up, and I think what people are forgetting is the numbers are rising because people are getting tested more. There's tests everywhere you look,
People
everywhere
also
you think.
know that
but
people
like
have been getting texts saying, "Oh, you've tested positive for coronavirus," when they haven't actually had a test. So, like the hospitals or the government are sending these texts out to people who haven't even tested had a test
I'm
for it.
Nothing's gone right.
well, like I think yeah, like like people are now saying, oh, we're never going to sort of get rid of coronavirus, but well, if we're never ever going to get rid of it, somebody like these scientists in like Downing Street or wherever they meet and Sage, the Sage group and things,
Yeah,
they all need to come out and go, realistically, there is no way out of this at the minute. But
Yeah.
there's nothing. It keeps saying, "Oh, we're gonna be out by Christmas, or we're gonna be out by here."
If
Like,
at the beginning of
yeah.
this, everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to get like an extra 2 weeks off this, that, and the other," so I actually researched like other plagues that have like been spread, even just like in countries, never mind the whole world, and it's taken like 80, like 100 more years to get rid of it. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to get rid of it in like 3 months." It's just not going to happen. It is unrealistic.
It's never gonna go away until they have a cure, until they have, not a cure in a sense, until they have, the way with like
The
measles,
vaccine,
a
a vaccine.
vaccination, a
like,
vaccine, and then
even
to make
then,
an antibiotic or an anti whatever they call it when it's viral or whatever.
even when
Yeah,
we have a
Because
vaccine, we've got like the flu vaccine, but we've never gotten rid of the flu. So something like this, it's never going to go away. We
it's
just
never
need
gonna
to
go away, but there's just gonna have to be different ways. I feel like that's the thing is the flu kills so many people a year, and I think that's just going to be the new thing. Thinking like 10 years, oh, they're not well, they've got COVID. I feel like that's what it'll be. It'll just be a version of the
yeah,
flu or something like that. But kids are going to be vaccinated and older people will be vaccinated. Or if you have a choice to be vaccinated, but it's crazy.
I mean that's it. It's like saying, like, oh yeah. like there's all these different kinds of figures and things coming out saying that there's more people who've got COVID than they did have flu at this time of year, like last year and things like that. I think realistically, if there is no way out of this, and they keep saying there is going to be a way out, but no, but like not anytime soon, you need to come out and say this in like a broadcast, like a televised broadcast, saying realistically, here's the facts. This is realistically is what's going to happen. I mean, the likes of if we turn and look at America and Trump and things like that, you know, people are now saying, was that real or was that for him to get out of his mistakes that he's done over the past few months from his campaigning and stuff like that? It's
I
Even with
know.
eh,
Trump, a lot of that did not make any sense whatsoever. So
oh, I know, yeah.
like they were saying that like he was really ill and this, that, and the other, and then somebody turns around and was like, "Well, why didn't you take him to the hospital then?" And they were like, "Well, we just thought that we could treat it in the White House and things like that." So it doesn't make sense.
Well, I think the whole thing of it, he was in for like 3 or 4 days or something. First of all, he's going as a precautionary measure. Next minute, he's seriously ill and he's on steroids or whatever. And then the next minute, he's out again.
If
So realistic.
they get it, he's like really old. I went to say extremely old then, which he is. He's like really obese, like he's medically obese. So if he did get it, he would be in like the range of people that would die from it. So to get over it in like less than a week, it's unrealistic.
Extremely unrealistic, especially if you look at the likes of how long our Prime Minister Boris Johnson was in, like hospital for,
Yeah,
I know,
and
because if Donald Trump did have it, um he would be in for a really long time, like Lou said, with his age. But when he went to go to the hospital because he had COVID and they wanted to put him in hospital, he didn't just go, like on his own. His driver drove him. So then technically his driver should self isolate, and he didn't. He picked him up from the hospital.
going like
well,
back to the art as well. Then a lot of people are on our side. Like Cumbria University, like lit up the whole university red last night as like a national campaign to draw like attention to like what's going on, and quite a few other places are doing things as well. So
yeah, I mean, like that's like that's a good thing, but like it's saying the likes of, if for example, like, yeah, uh, Donald Trump is 74 or what have you. He's not saying, it's a bit really, really unrealistic saying that, oh, yeah, he's had COVID and he had COVID when he done one of his campaigns or rallies or whatever they call them in America. It's a bit like, well, what are we saying here? Like, is he okay? Has he got it? Has he infected loads of other people?
yeah,
And realistically, how quick can, yeah, people recover it, like quickly in different ways, and people's bodies are different. But I don't think, like, looking at the facts that like have been uncovered by the BBC and things, realistically, can he have been cured from it that like that quickly, or is he still in the in the White House isolating? Like, like nobody knows. It's not clear about these things. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it because it's it's a different country to ours. But you can't broadcast stuff in the media and then go 5 minutes later, oh, actually, there's nothing wrong with him. It was sort of, it was all made up.
yeah,
There was this stupid comment that the Conservative government said something really ridiculous to say that the arts earn this big, huge amount of money, um, and that so the arts are given this huge amount of money a year to different centres. This is something that the government said, that the arts, I think it was like, I've just seen it on my phone, it was like 13 billion or something worldwide. It says worldwide. That's not a very lot amount of money worldwide. And how people were, there was all the comments of all these musicians and actors and actresses and producers and writers and tech people who've all, flashed back and said things to him. Like Liam Gallagher said something really funny, which I'm not going to repeat, obviously. Um, saying how pathetic it is, and how if it wasn't for the arts, if it wasn't for the arts and music, people would be bored. People would be completely and utterly bored. And if they're saying that the arts are pathetic and the arts should find other jobs, then what about footballers?
I
Because
was
they
thinking
do exactly the same thing in a sense. They entertain people.
I was thinking that, and I've literally just read in London more people go to see one theatre show than people attend a Premier League football match. So if more people are going to the arts than to sport, why is sport getting funded so heavily and the arts are just getting left behind? But like, if you think about it, the amount of money every single like theatre or like even like music venues make every year, like 70% of them are like due to close by the end of this year, and none of them are getting like financial support from it. So that all of that money is just gone.
Well, to be honest, I think the government should start looking at some of their assets and sort of going, what like what can we clear off and things like that.
I
I
know.
mean, like like there is, like there's buildings that have been unoccupied. There's offices now that aren't even open because people are working from home. I think the government need to start thinking and going, well, actually, we've got people working here and we've got people working there. There's nobody working there. We'll shut that for 6 months or whatever. We'll take that funding from there and put it into other areas. And it's like saying, well, like, yeah, we've got likes of football stadiums and things, and I know they're not government owned, but I think the government should start saying, until everything's fully recovered, like the art industry has started coming back, it's unfair that you do as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I quote, he said, go and get a different job in a different sector. That's fresh and new opportunities for people. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Why? Or because the government don't have enough money or funding to be able to keep the furlough scheme and
So
things on.
we should change what we do, because I'm saying we because a lot of us, because all three of us would hopefully love to go into something to do with the industry. So
Mm.
they're technically telling us, so young people, the future of the art and the future of creativity, to every young person, don't go and get a different job because there'll be no jobs for you in a few years.
So what's he saying? We should,
We
like
should all just train to be what?
like, an office worker or
Yeah,
something
is
like
that what
that,
he's saying?
I mean, like like it's not clear what jobs he wants us to do, or here's an even better idea. Because you aren't going into industry and stuff like that. Why don't you try and become nurses and doctors? Well,
Yeah,
no, because not everybody wants to be that. As bad as it sounds, people do want to help each other and things like
yeah,
that. But like, you're not going to be getting through a degree anytime soon to be able to help people during
you
this
know in
pandemic.
school, in school how many art people like I know in my school especially. So you mean like performing arts groups come in and it's to raise awareness on health or about mental health or bullying and
oh yeah,
things. And it makes it like a fun experience and you remember it. So then when you go away, you think about it because it was done in a good way. But if someone just even things like that, if someone just started coming in and reading bullet points off like a PowerPoint, you'd just switch off completely. So even things like that shows
that's
how
so
important
true.
they are. Like literally today, I've like this week, and I've been going through trying to move like from my school to college to go into the arts. So like we're getting it all sorted tomorrow. Well, that's what I've been doing. So then if they come in around and say, well, no, it's not tomorrow, me as well as so many hundreds and thousands of kids that just they've got nothing to do. That's like their passion, and they're taking away our passion.
They're taking away people's dreams in a sense and people's passions and hobbies. He also said plenty of music lessons still carry on regardless of school and college education. Certainly in my household and elsewhere. So
You know,
so he's
imagine
saying in our house we do music. They don't just do it in they don't do it in school and college. You do it in our house, and if it's a hobby and something you enjoy, you do it the way you can.
I
But
know
that's not
it's
right because not
so
everyone has a
expensive.
piano in their bloody living room. Do you know what I mean? Or a
It's
stage in the
not
garden.
only it's so expensive not only to be able to afford like the music equipment, but to get lessons. Like sometimes it's like £25 just for an hour. So
Well,
It
imagine if
is.
you start
nearly
in
half of
school,
UK musicians were forced to quit the industry um, due to the coronavirus crisis, as the government didn't fund enough money towards the media and the arts.
Yeah,
Enough. I wouldn't. It's definitely haven't. Like the funding from the government definitely hasn't been enough. Like, look at the furlough scheme that's finishing off.
The
Like
furlough, they
by
didn't
the end of
the thing
October.
with furlough, they didn't give musicians and theatre people and people in the arts, a lot of them say they work, say they do like, 2 weeks in this theatre and they might get 2 grand for them 2 weeks. But then they might not get a lot of another work for another 2 months and then make that. Say they haven't got like a steady income, a monthly income like a lot of everyone else. So their money that they were given from the government was not anywhere comparison to the money they actually make.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all freelance, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
everyone's freelance at the end of the day in the likes of industry, unless you're permanently employed at one theatre.
Yeah.
You're not. Like there's no steady stream of income there. Like
I
there's no
completely
revenue.
understand that the government only had so much money to give out with like the furlough because like we can't just waste all the money. But even if they said instead of getting 80% of your wage or 100% of the wage, they could have said, well, we'll get 60% of your wage so that everybody gets covered.
I know, because there was so many people who didn't, and if people, there was especially people who did jobs like comedians in a way, who would do it of a of a weekend, of a Saturday, and do that type of traveling thing of comedians. They were given buttons. They weren't getting a lot of money. That was a big thing that was that got said, was, I think it was comedians and there was somebody else, and they were literally put on the very lowest of the furlough wage because they were getting 80%, whatever it was, when actually that was really more 40, because a lot of their money they get is just off little gigs they do here and there that they might get paid in hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm. I mean, like the other thing I've noticed is that, like, well, not noticed, but the another thing that government uncovered is that businesses were actually stealing from the furlough scheme just to keep themselves afloat.
Yeah.
Like just to keep themselves up there and like trying to stay open and to be able to pay the staff and the water, their electricity bills, all that type of stuff. It's like, yeah, theatres aren't open, so they're not going to have any bills, but they still need to pay for the likes of licenses and things like that. Like,
And say if they were right in the middle of doing a show and they were just about, like Hairspray on the West End, they were literally just about to put a show on before COVID happened. They now still have to pay all of them people that they had for their time, their energy, for costumes, for set. They still have to pay for all that, and I think that got a bit forgotten, to be honest.
in
mm,
2018, there were 290,000 employees just in theatres. So that's not like the actors or anything. That's just like the bartenders, like the managers, like all things like that, like the tech people if they're like employed by the theatre. So that was like that many people, 290,000 people that were on like the lowest furloughs and that weren't getting paid and that aren't going to have a job.
I mean, it's not. It's difficult to say what's going to happen. Like, like there is talk that the industry will come back bigger and better than ever. But then again, there's also talk that it could be 1 year down the line, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. Who knows when it's going to be?
Who
Exactly.
knows when
And
we'll
when
go
they
back to,
come
normal? It'll be a new normal, but who knows when it'll be?
yeah, like they've said at the minute with like the 2 meter distance, like 2 meter distance rule, only like 20% of like the stadiums or arenas or theatres could be full, and with 1 meter it would be 30%. So even then, it's just not enough to be able to get like an income or like a wage from it.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I just googled. This was a press release was put out by the UK government in June. On the 5th, no, sorry, on the 5th of July 2020, this was said 1.57 billion investment to protect Britain's world-class cultural, arts and heritage institutions. Cultural and heritage organisations to be protected with 1.57 billion support package, which was meant to be for The future of Britain's museums, galleries, theatres, independent cinemas, heritage sites, and music venues will be protected with emergency grants and loans. Funding will also be provided to restart construction work at cultural and heritage sites paused as a result of the pandemic. 1.57 billion is nothing at the end of the day if you look at it. Because once that's gone, once that's been put into the likes of rebuilding, like theatres or cultural, yeah, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, from iconic theatre and musicals, mesmerising exhibitions at our world class galleries to gigs performed in local basement venues, the UK's cultural industry is the beating heart of this country. This money will help safeguard the sector for future generations, ensuring arts groups and venues across the UK can stay afloat and support their staff whilst their doors remain closed and curtains remain down.
If just in like the amount of money that they're getting, if that 1.7 billion was to cover all of that, just theatres get 1.3 billion a year in ticket revenue. So that 1.7 doesn't even cover theatres.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. Um,
It's pathetic.
I think maybe we should, like, as we can talk about this all night, I think we should start transitioning over to something different.
Yeah.
Um, so on the back of talking about the theatre industry and stuff like that, um, MYA Space Project has been involved in a BBC podcast project with a producer called um, John Offord. He's a freelance BBC producer who creates podcasts and different things like that. Um, and on the 10th of October, so on the 10th, this Saturday even, um, it's World Mental Health Day,
Yep.
and we, as a group, some of us have been creating podcasts with this producer, and it's not just Space; it's a load of other organisations as well across the borough of Liverpool, who have like all chipped in to sort of share their well, not sort of share their experiences, but like to be able to give advice to people who are suffering with different mental health issues and stuff like that. Um, but basically, the project is um, being released on the 10th of October. The podcasts um, are already up. Some of them may be live, some of them maybe not. I can't exactly go into full detail about what they're about yet. Um, but as soon as they can be released, they basically are being released. So some of the topics that were covered, which I can say this bit, were social media, which obviously nowadays is a big thing, as you both know,
Hmm.
and like the effects on social media and stuff like that. Um, and the other thing was, we've had special guests from London, somebody from a BBC, I think it's BBC Radio in London, who come on and spoke about feminism and stuff like that. It's all different types of well, not so much beliefs, but opinions and stuff like that between different things.
Sounds amazing. Like it sounds really interesting. I'm definitely gonna listen to them. They sound really good.
I
Yeah,
started that, but then it was at the same time as drama every week.
Yeah, that was
So,
like me. I joined for the first, I think it was like 2 weeks, and then we had drama at the same time, and we were like all in a bit of a muddle, weren't we? So that was a
yeah.
bit of a sitch.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're still getting, I don't know if you've still been getting the emails for
Yeah,
them or whatnot.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So we're getting like,
but like basically, John said he's going to be around to the end of the year if we, still want to create podcasts with him and stuff like that. And if we, want to start our own project of our own type of thing,
hmm
um, which I think it'll be nice. I'm definitely going to keep in touch with him because it's another contact. Basically, it's another contact just in case stuff doesn't happen and things like that.
I find podcasts so interesting. Like I never used to really listen to podcasts, and then probably about a year and a half ago, started listening to them. And then when the space started doing the podcast, I got so interested because I found them so good. Because I don't know how to explain it. It's something about hearing someone's voice, and just you can just kind of imagine away like what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're saying it, and all that. It is, I don't know. I just get this really nice feeling of a podcast, and I feel like it's kind of a really nice space to listen and to talk to people in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think it's been like a really really fun experience with the whole like creating podcast situation and things like that. And I think we should like definitely continue it, not just like as a project with the BBC or whatever, yeah, but like as space, we are going to keep creating this content, like for people to listen to. And like you never know, like we may be like recognized, and sort of go, oh, like we really like this youth organization about what they do, like they've created a podcast.
Yeah,
yeah. I think as well, it's like sometimes you're busy over weeks, so like especially me, I don't have the chance to like message everyone and see how everyone is and what they're all doing. So then it's like one time a week where we'll all just sit together and talk about stuff that we're all interested in. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and I think like a big shout out to Ben for editing them and things
yeah,
for us. We
Yeah,
like, and our media team who promote stuff like this, and like uh, everyone like comes together to help each other. Like it's not just like a like everything's left to one person type of thing. Like everyone's got like not like a different role, but like a different role in a way, if that makes sense. It's all, I don't know what the word is. Everyone chips in to help out,
yeah,
yeah,
and I think like without the likes of like the staff team at Space and things and stuff like that, um, past and past
present,
and now,
yeah,
past and current, I think it is. But like we wouldn't be, we probably wouldn't be creating these podcasts if it wasn't for the likes of Adam going, like, oh, I've got an idea. We'll start a podcast, and
yeah,
it's like it's been a really really fun experience, and like we'll be doing this now probably for hopefully years to come. Like it's a new thing we've started. It's something I'm going to carry on with.
mhm,
yeah,
You know, and we've always got like fresh new content coming, and stuff like that. So, and like look at us now. We're up to series 2.
I know.
It's been,
exactly.
like we had a really successful season 1. You know, with I don't know how many episodes on that. It feels like, oh, I don't know. And
Yeah,
we wouldn't have started this. It sounds bad to say in a way if it wasn't for like lockdown, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
I completely agree. I think in lockdown, everyone's mind was just wondering of new things that they could do because everyone was bored. So I think it's like really good that Adam came up with this and like Adam and Ben got together and everyone joined in because I love it. I think it's like such a good thing. And even if people don't really know what's happening in that space, if they listen to like one podcast, they'll find out so many things that's going on.
I mean, like, look at the like, look at the drama work. Like that is that's been started and things like that. We'd like
yeah.
got Oliver the musical and things coming on next year at Space. So guys, people who are listening, look out for it. Come and see it. It's gonna be a boss performance. And like, what's the other one that we're doing?
It's a Midsummer Night's Dream, but we're doing a Midsummer Night's Street because
Yeah.
it's
So
based
like
on a street.
it's a well, obviously, we can't really say much about that, but um, like look out for them. Like we post everything up in our social medias and things like that. Like, um, and it's also word of mouth and things. Like get listening, and we're always here to welcome new people to Space for likes of tech sessions, drama, dance, music,
Hmm.
musical theatre. Like we do pretty much everything.
I think as
We've
well
got
it's
Josh who
good.
does our
I think as well it's good because we've got like so many different parts of it. It's not just like getting on and like recording it because like we like set it up, and then there's people that do it, and then there's the people that like set everything down and put it away, and then there's like then that will edit it. So there's like so many different parts, and now that we know how to do it and we can do it like quite well, we can do more podcasts with like other people, or if people want to do like their own individual ones.
I mean, as like, yeah, I think it's like it's a really good opportunity for young people to get involved. So if you listen to this podcast and you're at space, or even if you're not at space and you want to join in with the podcast, you can message us on any of our social medias. I think we're on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're probably on it. Look out for Merseyside Youth Association's Space Project. And I think that's a nice wrap there for tonight, guys. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I'm absolutely made up because I've just had some chicken in for me to try, so I'm gonna go and have my tea.
That's good. I'm also going to go and have mine. So it's bye from Kieran.
It's a bye from Maisie.
And it's a bye from Lucy.
That has been episode 5, series 2. Look out for next week for
Bye.
our podcast. Bye.
See you
Bye.
later.